The Galactic Council chamber was never quiet, but today it felt different. The usual hum of voices was tense, low, and sharp. Representatives from dozens of worlds sat in curved rows, their eyes fixed on the massive display hovering above the center of the hall. It showed a spinning image of the Sol system. Beside it, lines of data scrolled upward, all showing the same result. No signal detected. Humanity was gone. For 2 weeks. Every communication link to human space had fallen silent. First it was the outposts along the border. Then the deep. Space relays. Then their main colonies. Even Earth, the heart of their civilization, no longer answered. No trade ships left their ports. No patrols appeared at the usual checkpoints. It was as if the most unpredictable species in the galaxy had vanished in the middle of the night. Some council members took this as good news. Humans had always been a problem. Stubborn, chaotic, too clever for their own good. The Zathri delegate leaned forward, his voice oily with satisfaction. Perhaps, he said, the predators have finally burned themselves out. His words were met with a few approving murmurs, but others were uneasy. Humans were not known for surrendering or hiding. They had a history of surviving things that should have destroyed them. Wars, plagues, disasters. They always came back stronger. And this silence was not the kind born from defeat. It was too sudden to complete. High Chancellor Varen lifted one hand for quiet. Our fleets have sent scouts into human space. He said, so far no signs of battle, no wreckage, no distress calls. It is empty. His voice carried no comfort. Emptiness meant mystery, and mystery with humans meant danger. From the far side of the chamber, the Trellan ambassador rose. I have served on this council for 80 years, she said slowly, and I tell you now, this is not peace. This is a breath before the strike. Her words made the air in the room seem colder. The scout report came in next. The holoscreen shifted, showing the image of a small alien captain with wide, frightened eyes. His ship had entered Sol System 3 days ago. We approached Earth, he said, his voice shaking. There are no lights on the surface, no cities, no movement. In orbit, the planet is dark. A murmur swept through the chamber. He swallowed before continuing. But we detected something, a sound. It came from deep within the planet's core. A low hum, steady like a heartbeat. And when we tried to send a signal, the hum changed. Pitch, as if it was. Listening. His last word hung in the air like smoke. For a long moment, no one spoke. The silence in the chamber seemed to mirror the silence of human space. Finally, a council member from the war faction leaned forward, his eyes glinting. If they are gone, now is the time, he said. We have waited centuries for this chance. Their worlds are rich, their colonies undefended. We take them before they return. Others shook their heads, uneasy. You speak as if they will not notice, someone muttered. As if they will forgive. The war faction ignored the warning. To them, this was an opportunity too great to waste. Out yet. There was. Still one more part of the Scouts report? As we left Earth's orbit, the captain said our sensors caught a transmission. It was faint, almost hidden. We could barely translate it. We are here. Gasps rippled through the chamber. The Zathri delegate scoffed. Trying to keep control of the room. A trick, he said. A ghost signal. The humans are gone. But the image of Earth, dark and silent. And the strange hum beneath its surface stayed in everyone's mind. Outside the council chamber, the public was already talking. Traders swore they had seen human ships moving in deep space, far from any charted routes. Miners told of strange beacons activating in abandoned sectors. Some said it was human tech waking up. Others whispered of something worse, something humanity had unleashed before vanishing. That night, as the council adjourned, High Chancellor Varen stood alone at the great window overlooking the city. He stared at the stars, thinking of the words in the report. We are here. He knew the war faction would push for invasion, and he also knew they would succeed. And in the quiet of that moment, a question formed in his mind, one he did not dare speak aloud. If humanity had truly vanished, why did it still feel like they were watching? The war faction wasted no time. By the next council meeting, their plans were already drawn in cold, precise lines across the star charts. Entire fleets were being pulled from their borders and redirected toward human space. It was called the Push, though some whispered a quieter name, the Gamble. The lead voice behind it was General Corrin of the Dravik Combine, a warrior whose kind had fought humans before and still bore the scars. His words rang through the chamber with the weight of certainty. "They are gone," he declared. "Whatever they were building, whatever danger they once posed, it has ended. Damn. We take their worlds now, before another power claims them." His allies cheered. Resources, technology, and territory beyond measure lay open. Earth's colonies stretched across dozens of star systems. Even without their people, their cities could feed and supply half the galaxy. But not everyone was convinced. Ambassador, old and brittle, rose again. "You think the silence is weakness?" she said, her voice like dry paper. "I think it is the sound of teeth being sharpened." Her warning was brushed aside. The council voted. The push was approved. Outside, the galaxy's greatest armada began to form. Carrier groups from 3 empires. Siege ships from the Dravik war fleets. Boarding craft, ground assault units, and vast supply convoys stretched for millions of kilometers. The largest military operation in centuries. Aimed at a species that had not fired a shot in months, engineers worked day and night to prepare infiltration teams. Their task? Disable human defense networks before they could activate. The war faction claimed the systems would be unmanned, but reports from border scouts told a different story. They spoke of ancient human satellites drifting in the dark, still warm with power, scanning anything that moved. One captain returned with the image of a massive orbital platform above an uninhabited moon. The thing was clearly human-made, but no design matched the council archives. Shape-shifted in the scanner's feed almost as if it didn't want to be understood. The captain warned that it might be armed. He was ignored. Rumors began to spread among the soldiers assigned to the mission. Old tales resurfaced of the siege of Corvallis, where humans had turned an entire ocean into a weapon. Of the Battle of Torque's Gate, where their ships had fought on with no crews aboard, driven by AI minds that never slept. Some laughed at the stories, calling them myths. Others checked their gear twice and spoke a little less. In a quiet corner of the council complex, a junior aide named Relin slipped into a shadowed passage. His hands shook as he activated a private communicator. The signal was scrambled beyond recognition, bouncing through dozens of relays before reaching its destination. "If you hear this," he whispered, "they're coming. The council, the fleets, all of them. They think you're gone, but I know better. If you left, it wasn't fear. It was preparation." He shut off the device, his heart pounding, certain that speaking those words might cost him his life. Far away, in the silent dark beyond the council's borders, a single human relay buoy flickered to life. It received Relin's message, stored it, and sent it somewhere deeper, somewhere no alien signal could reach. The council's fleets continued to gather. The war faction celebrated. But somewhere out there, something had heard the warning. The first wave of the push reached human space without resistance. Fleet commanders boasted over open channels, their voices dripping with triumph. No human patrols appeared. No warships rose from hiding. The star systems felt abandoned. There, planets drifting in quiet orbits under alien suns. The first ground teams were dispatched to Mars, the jewel of humanity's early expansion. From orbit, the alien crews saw the colony domes cracked open like glass eggs, yet the metal supports gleamed as if the damage had happened only yesterday. No dust storms had buried them, no signs of rust or decay. Commander Trelvik, leading the Dravik infantry unit, ordered an immediate search. Inside the largest dome, they found a control room still humming with faint power. A single terminal was active, its display glowing pale green in the darkness. Symbols scrolled across the screen, shifting into alien script, then freezing on. One message. 2 days, 14 hours, 09 minutes. The soldiers exchanged confused glances. No one knew what the countdown was for, But they all felt the same thing. The air in the dome was too still. Like the moment before a storm, reports came in from other landing parties. On Europa, under the cracked ice, they found a vault door, sealed with human insignia and a warning in perfect alien translation, "Do not open. Not yet." On Ganymede, mining crews stumbled upon storage bays filled with unmanned combat drones, lined in perfect rows. Each one powered down there, eyes dark. But the strange part was that every single drone faced the same direction, toward the blackness of deep space, back on Mars. A communications officer patched into the terminal systems, trying to trace its source. "This isn't running from here," he muttered. "It's pulling signal from somewhere underground." The moment he said it, the lights in the dome flickered once. As if in response, one Dravik soldier claimed he heard something then. A voice, faint, almost like it, was inside his own head. It spoke in a language he didn't know, yet somehow understood. "Leave now." The officer laughed nervously and waved it off as interference from his helmet. But when he looked up, the rest of his squad was staring at him in silence. Each one of them had heard the same thing that night, while the alien fleet orbited the quiet red planet. An old relay beacon just outside Mars orbit activated without any command. It sent a narrow beam transmission toward Earth. The signal wasn't powerful, but it was precise. The next morning, all across the human colonies under alien control, strange readings began to appear on scanners. Energy spikes, faint but steady, were rising from beneath the surface of several planets. The fleet scientists reported it, but the admirals brushed it off as leftover human technology powering down. On Mars, the countdown ticked on. 1 day, 23 hours, and falling. No one in the fleet dared to say it aloud, but the thought was there in every mind. Whatever the humans had left behind, it wasn't dead. It was waiting. The countdown reached 0 in the early hours of the fleet's 3rd day in Sol system. No alarm sounded. No explosions came. For a few seconds, the only sound aboard the alien ships was the hum of their own engines. Then, across every human world they occupied, the ground trembled. On Mars, the cracked domes shook as dust fell from the ceilings. On Europa, the ice over. The vault door split apart, glowing faintly from within. On Ganymede, the silent rows of drones lifted their heads in perfect unison, eyes burning a cold, unnatural blue dot in orbit. Human war satellites that had drifted dormant for decades came alive. Their panels unfolded like the wings of some ancient predator. They turned one by one until their targeting arrays locked not on the alien fleet but outward, toward the black between the stars. From Earth, a pulse of energy surged into space, so powerful that every alien scanner went white with static. The pulse carried a single signal, broadcast in every known language. Phase 1 complete. Return coordinates received. No one in the alien fleets understood what it meant, but they all felt it. A shift, a weight in the air, the sudden sense that they were not alone and not the most dangerous thing present. Admirals shouted orders to scan for human ships, but the readings showed nothing. The war faction's leaders insisted on continuing the occupation, calling the signal a bluff. Still, captains began requesting permission to withdraw, citing unsettling phenomena. Those phenomena grew worse. Alien soldiers on the surface reported hearing whispers through their coms, even when their helmets were sealed and their radios disabled. Aboard the flagship, security footage caught something impossible, the reflection of a human figure in an empty hallway. Watching the camera before fading away, energy readings from Earth's core were climbing, forming patterns the fleets. Science teams couldn't decipher. But one thing was certain, the power was not random. It pulsed in a rhythm like a call, and somewhere far beyond the rim of the galaxy, something answered. In the deep, cold dark between galaxies, a hole in space began to form. And it was not a natural tear, nor the work of any alien technology. The Council knew. It was deliberate, precise, and it was opening. The alien fleets didn't know it yet, but humanity's silence had never been about defeat. It had been about distance and timing. The tear in space widened above Saturn, a wound in reality itself. At first, the alien fleet mistook it for a collapsing star or some gravitational anomaly. But then shapes emerged, massive, dark, and silent. The first ship slid through like a shadow given form. It had the shape of a human vessel, yet it was wrong. Its hull was black, absorbing all light. The surface shifted like liquid metal, patterns flowing across it in ways the eye couldn't follow. No visible engines, yet it moved with impossible grace. Then came the second ship. The third. Then dozens more? Within minutes, hundreds filled the void, surrounding the alien fleets without firing a single shot. A transmission burst through every channel at once, overriding alien communications, speaking in a voice cold and calm. Occupation acknowledged. Countermeasure authorized. Panic rippled through the invaders. Admirals barked orders to form defensive lines. Some ships prepared to retreat, but their jump drives failed instantly. Locked down by a jamming field the humans had activated the moment they arrived. On the surface of Mars, alien troops looked up to see the sky darken as the new human ships blotted out the stars. The countdown terminals were gone now, replaced with a simple line of text: "Return complete." The alien fleet fired first. Hundreds of plasma bolts, missile salvos, and beam weapons screamed toward the human ships. The impacts struck home and did nothing. The human vessels shimmered briefly like stones vanishing into deep water, and the weapons passed through them without leaving a mark. Then the counterattack began. Human ships didn't fire traditional weapons. Instead, beams of pure distortion lanced outward, bending space around their targets. Alien vessels twisted apart in silence, as if crushed by invisible hands. Others simply vanished, their matter ripped out of normal space entirely, across the battlefield. Human forces deployed smaller craft, sleek black darts that moved faster than sensors could track. They didn't target ships. They targeted the control systems, the communication hubs, the very coordination of the alien fleets. In minutes, the armada was blind, scattered, and vulnerable. And still, the humans spoke no words of negotiation, no demands, no threats. Only action, on one alien flagship. A captured human AI core began to speak in the crew's language. "You should not have come," it said. "We were not hiding. We were elsewhere. And we were winning." The crew demanded to know what that meant. The AI only replied, "They will show you." Far from Sol, in star systems the Council had never mapped, faint signals began to arrive, emergency broadcasts from outposts the humans had visited before their disappearance. Those broadcasts were nothing but static, in a single repeating tone. The tone matched the pulse coming from Earth's core. It was the sound of something bigger than the human fleet. It was getting closer. Humanity did not open negotiations. They didn't respond to surrender requests. Instead, they spoke once, across every channel in the galaxy, in every language ever recorded: "Vacate human space." 30 minutes. The message was repeated 3 times. Then the channels went silent. In the council chamber, light years away, the declaration hit like a weapon. Some members shouted that it was impossible. No species could force the combined fleets of 3 empires to retreat in half an hour. Others remembered the images streaming in from Sol system, alien ships torn apart in seconds. Planets defended without a single human casualty, and said nothing, in orbit over Earth. Alien admirals tried to hold the line. They're bluffing. One insisted, "They can't destroy us all at once." The bluff ended quickly. Human ships moved into position, not toward the alien fleets, but toward nearby moons. Massive beams carved the surfaces apart in minutes, breaking them into fragments. Those fragments didn't drift away. They were pulled into shape, fused by energy fields into colossal weapon platforms bristling with structures no alien sensor could fully identify. In less than 10 minutes, 3 of Jupiter's moons had become fortress arrays, one capable of targeting an entire fleet simultaneously. The message came again. 20 minutes. On the surface of Mars, alien ground forces tried to regroup. Then the humans arrived. They didn't look like the soldiers the Council remembered. No heavy armor plates, no visible breathing gear. Instead, they wore sleek black exosuits that seemed to blur at the edges. Weapons materialized in their hands, as if drawn from the air itself. They moved through enemy fire like it wasn't there, cutting through squads with silent precision. Some alien units tried to surrender. The humans didn't kill them, but they didn't speak to them either. They simply herded them toward landing zones and left them for automated drones to handle, as if the battle was already finished. A desperate Council strike force attempted one final attack. 10 of their largest battleships charged a single human Titan ship. Focusing all their firepower on a single point, they never even touched the shields. The Titan ship vanished from their targeting systems mid-attack, reappeared behind them, and released a single pulse. All 10 battleships were left adrift, powerless, every system dead. No explosions, no debris, just silence. The countdown reached 5 minutes. Across human space, the alien occupation collapsed into chaos. Fleets scattered. Soldiers abandoned positions. And then, in the final seconds, the humans stopped their advance. Not because the enemy had surrendered, but because something else was coming. Sensors across the system began to detect a growing anomaly, far beyond. The human fleet, it was the same kind of tier they had come through, but larger, much larger. And the humans were already turning toward it. The last alien ships were already fleeing when the transmission came. It was not directed at any one fleet, nor even at the Council. It was sent everywhere at once, riding on every frequency, every subspace channel, every buoy in range. Your push was fatal, not for us, for what follows. The voice was unmistakably human, yet there was a weight to it, a tone that felt older than the species itself. Out in the darkness beyond Saturn, the tear in space continued to grow. It was no longer a slit, but a vast, swirling wound, spilling cold light into the void. The alien fleets, even in full retreat, slowed to watch and to fear. From within, shapes began to emerge. Not ships. Anything that had been mapped or classified before. They moved like living shadows, each one larger than a dreadnought, their forms shifting and bending the light around them. No readings could define their structure. Every scan returned only static and a single note of deep, resonant sound. Like the echo of something vast moving through water. On the human command ship, the bridge was calm. Officers spoke in clipped, efficient tones, their eyes fixed on the anomaly.
Ow.
No one looked at the retreating aliens. They were no longer the concern. A young alien communications officer aboard one of the fleeing Council destroyers stared at his console in disbelief. His sensors showed something horrifying. The humans were not preparing to attack the new arrivals. They were opening formation, giving them a clear path into the galaxy. The realization spread like fire through the channels. Humanity hadn't just returned. They had been followed. Fragments of intercepted human transmissions leaked through the static, references to a containment breach. Mentions of Phase 2, and a chilling phrase repeated in perfect monotone, "They will not take another galaxy." The Council's war faction, once so eager for the push, now called for an emergency alliance, but it was too late. Humanity wasn't listening. They were positioning, preparing. On Mars, alien prisoners of war were quietly loaded onto automated transports and sent back toward their borders without harm. On Earth, cities long abandoned flickered with light for the first time in years. And then, with the tier in space now wide enough to swallow a planet, the first of the shadow forms entered. Fully into the galaxy. Stars dimmed around it. Space itself seemed to ripple in its wake. In that moment, every surviving alien realized the truth. Humanity's silence had never been retreat. It had been the pause before the largest war in the galaxy's history, and the enemy they had. Awoken was not the humans. But now, the only thing standing between the galaxy and what had just arrived was humanity.